This is going to be interesting, my friends, because today we are talking about a guy that we haven't really made any videos about. And it's because his consolidated ranking in the draft is a little bit further away from the range that most of this channel's draft conversation has talked about. Today, we are talking about Prince George Cougars turned University of North Dakota Fighting Sioux defenseman Carson Carels, and whether or not this guy can actually go somewhere in the second overall spot? Is it possible? What does that mean for the Vancouver Canucks? What does that mean for the other defensemen in the draft? What does it mean for Ivar Stenberg? What does it mean for Chase Reid? What does it mean for Keaton Verhoff? There are a number of names that we can juggle around the top of this draft, and it's not getting any easier with this update. So, let's dive into what was talked about by Shang Peng, who of course does stuff for San Jose Hockey Now and the Bay Area NBC broadcasts. He tweeted this out yesterday that the San Jose Sharks are taking Carson Carels to dinner on Thursday. It's one of a few dinners, I'm sure. San Jose obviously has their choice of cream of the crop prospects with the second overall pick in the 2026 draft. Now here's the context on that. San Jose, as we know, are drafting second overall this year. Whether or not they actually use the pick or they trade it away for a defenseman remains to be seen, but common consensus says that if San Jose uses the pick, it's more likely they go with a D-man, either a Chase Reid, as indicated by many media and scouts, or a Keaton Verhoff, as indicated by, I think it was Frank Saravalli who had Verhoff going number 2 to San Jose. It seems like they'll take one of these guys over an Ivar Stenberg, who has been the projected second overall pick for the majority of the year, if not the projected first overall pick in the eyes of some. But now Carson Carels has entered the conversation, a 6'2", 198-pound left-handed defenseman who is labeled by elite prospects as a well-rounded, steady, transitional defender and an outstanding defensive skater. Carels flashed a mean streak, lining up and ending puck carriers off the rush. His physicality is high-end from both a volume and quality standpoint. Plus, if you take a look at the Elite Prospects draft guide, Carson Carels is a guy with number 1 top-pair defenseman potential, the draft's best two-way defenseman, who is just as good at running over opponents as he is at generating offense. He is an A-grade prospect with a 7.5 skating rating and a 7.5 physicality rating. And he also produced a good amount of points this year, 73 points in 58 games played, plus 10 points in 10 games for the Prince George Cougars. Carels is a guy that has pretty much everything you need out of a defenseman. He is physical, he is big, he can create offense, and he does all of it at a pristine level. Chase Reid may be a guy that has a lot more upper-end aggressive offensive tendencies, and Keaton Verhoff is a wild card who, quite coincidentally, already played for North Dakota. You have Carels, who's going to be going over to that organization later this season as well. So if Keaton Verhoff, assuming he doesn't stick around in the NHL this upcoming season, if he goes back to Nodak, he'll be probably even on a pairing with Carson Carels. That's going to be super fun to pay attention to. But Verhoff is consolidatedly ranked 3rd. He is ranked all over the place by various scouting outlets, and ultimately, I think one of the biggest separating factors from Verhoff and Chase Reid is the fact that these two guys, they are right-handed defensemen. Carson Carels is a lefty. I've seen some scouts and analysts go as far to say if Carson Carels was right, just like Reid and Verhoff, he would have been the easy number 1 defenseman out of the draft. It is just because he is left-handed and left-handed defensemen are more common that you don't really see this guy shoot up the draft rankings in many lists in the same way we had seen Chase Reid earlier and Keaton Verhoff even earlier before that. So Sheng Peng went out there and tweeted that San Jose is taking Carels to dinner on Thursday. This was expanded upon by Cam Robinson, who posted this yesterday as well. I took a lot of crap from fans for mock drafting Carels to San Jose last month. There is a real belief among some NHL teams that he is the best defender in the class, perhaps the most NHL ready as well. He is a viable lottery option. Now, San Jose fans are responding decently to this update. Douglas T.O. Shark said, Carels profiles very similarly to Dickinson, but with more physicality. A very high floor, but a lower ceiling compared to the other defensemen in their opinion. I would not be a fan of the pick, especially at number 2. Pretty sure these dinners are for the culture fit, which is going to be a huge factor. Surely fans will be overreacting to this news. But with Cam Robinson's report that, hey, maybe it is possible Carson Carels goes second overall to San Jose because they want an NHL-ready guy now. Firstly, I think it'd be hilarious if they ended up taking this dude and then he played NHL hockey right away and abandoned going over to North Dakota for a season, period. I think that'd be quite the big pivot in his overall career strategy. But Carels is a guy that does project very well amongst this group of top prospects. There are a number of D-men that have been creeping up the ranks and have had underrated, consolidated value throughout. From Verhoff to Reid, of course, to Carels, to Daxon Rudolph. Albert Smits is another guy that has really put his name on the map ever since his Team Latvia showcase a few weeks ago. But all this to say, if Carson Carels goes number 2 to the San Jose Sharks, what does that do for the Vancouver Canucks at number 3? Do the Canucks decide to go with a guy like Chase Reid, for example? Do they take an Ivar Stenberg? We just made a video yesterday talking about how, supposedly, the Vancouver Canucks are going to be taking out both of these guys to dinner throughout the next few days. Stenberg and Reid are both going to get their chance to impress Vancouver Canucks management and see what the organization is about. Chase Reid could be a Quinn Hughes-esque level defenseman, who also happens to be right-handed. I'm not 100% sure he's going to hit that ceiling. I'd say maybe there's like a 40% chance. I say 40% because, look, saying anybody has a bigger than 50% chance of being Quinn Hughes is quite the tall task of anybody, period. So I wouldn't say it's a majority opportunity for Chase Reid to be that good. But Ivar Stenberg is a guy that's just such a strong needle mover on the wing. And that's not even to acknowledge the Caleb Malhotra story, which I think as the days go on, I start to feel a little less comfortable with ever since the Manny Malhotra hiring at head coach as well. It just seems a little bit off to feel the Caleb and Manny connection establish itself as the de facto spotlighted relationship in the Vancouver Canucks organization. And I say de facto, it's going to be there, right? Henrik and Daniel Sedin, the brothers, the co-presidents, the 2 Hall of Famers, that's a great dynamic and everybody loved it. It's different if it's father and son, especially if one of them is the head coach. I'm starting to feel a little bit iffy about that now, especially when hearing reports that apparently Carson Carels could be going as high as 2nd overall, depending on who you ask. If it's the choice between Stenberg, Reid, and Malhotra for the Vancouver Canucks at 3, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How does that make you feel? And if the Canucks end up passing on Stenberg and Malhotra for a guy like Reid, what does that tell you about the confidence they have in the defensemen they have in the system already? Tom Wielander, Vittorio Mancini, you guys are getting replaced. There's another guy coming down on the right side that will overtake you. It is quite the intriguing dance of variables and prospects to dive into here. So obviously there are other names that could creep up into the top of the draft. Carson Carels ain't the only guy, but this seems to be one of the main dudes that San Jose is putting a bunch of chips into in regards to their time and their interviewing blocks. So with all that said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If Carels goes number 2 to San Jose, what do you think the move is for Vancouver at number 3? Do you think it changes if Reid ends up going in that 2nd overall spot to San Jose instead? Is Stenberg still the main target in your opinion? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.